Paper 1, 2020, Question 1, the inventory control and VAT. When you read inventory control, you are thinking already of the possibility that you will have to calculate the closing stock's value using one of the two methods that we've learned about. So you're already thinking weighted average or FIFO, maybe both. VAT, you know what to do with VAT. We've done that on its own, but we will do the question a bit later. So then we read through this. You've got this question, so I'm not going to spend time on reading through everything, but I do see that medals are calculated using the weighted average method and trophies using the FIFO method. And then there's lots of information. There's medals that arrive in boxes of 50 and have a delivery fee of 75 per box. Now I must remember that delivery fee because I must now think, is this delivery fee included in my purchasing price or not? Because if it's not included, I must include it when I work out or calculate the cost of sales. There were 5 boxes worth of 2034 on hand on 1 July 2019. I am 30 June 2020. So this means this 2019 is the opening stock. And here it is. It includes the delivery costs. The computer shows 34 boxes were purchased and the total of what that cost us. And remember, delivery cost is included. One of these boxes, and that was the price, was returned, but the delivery fee is non-refundable. So we don't have to calculate the delivery fee on that box and add that to the return amount. All returns relate to the purchase in the previous month. The stock take on 30 June showed a total of 7 boxes, and that's where we have to calculate the value of this 7 boxes. And the medals are sold for 30 Rand each, and 27 boxes were sold. But the medals are sold for 30 Rand each. Right, let's see what they ask us and how we can calculate this. So first, they want the weighted average of one box of medals, not a medal or 50 medals, but one box. So we start with what we know. The weighted average works with, can you remember, opening stock plus the purchases minus the returns, and if it's not included in the purchaser's price, we will also add the carriage on purchases here. So let's see if that is what we are looking for. 2034, there we are, 2034 is the opening stock. I'm just going to write it here, opening stock. Then we are looking for the purchases. Let's see if we can see if there's any purchases. Yes. The purchases for the year has a total of 15,190. So that's my purchases. And then I'm looking for returns. All returns, month 8, and there's one there. One box costing 470 is returned. There's the return, just the 470. Where am I? There we are. There's the return of 470. So that's going to give me my top amount. Bottom is the number of the opening stock. So let's see. The number of the opening stock is 5. There's my 5. The number of the purchases is 34. There's my 34. The number units that we returned one box. And there's the one box that's returned. That's where I got all these amounts and numbers from. And when I calculate that, I see the weighted average of one box is 440 Rand and 89. Again, guys, remember what we are looking for. Don't just start, remember what we've learned. Now they want you to complete the trading statement. Now the trading statement is sales minus debtors allowances minus cost of sales, which will give me the gross profit. The only difference here is that the trading statement is in the form of a statement. So we've got our sales, our cost of sales, and we get our gross profit. Trading account is not the same as the trading statement, but you will have the same answer. You will have the gross profit, but you will have a T account. You will have a T account if we have the trading account. Trading statement, you will have the two columns. So we still work with the sales. Now what's our sales? Let's see, stock take, metals, what did we sell? Metals are sold for 30 Rand each and a total of 727 boxes. Because we are working here with the medals, so that's 30 Rand each, and boxes, we have to work with the 27 boxes that's sold, and it is sold 30 Rand each. So this is the box, the 27 is the box, the 30 Rand is the price, and the 50 is the number of medals in a box. And that's how I get my selling price. So the box, the price, and the number of medals, because they gave us the number, the price of a medal. Now the cost of sales. Guys, you know how to calculate cost of sales. That's the opening stock plus the purchases minus the closing stock. You can do it that way, or since you've got the weighted average, you can also work on the number of units on hand, boxes on hand, and times it by that amount. There's the two ways. Whichever way is the best for you, it doesn't matter. If we go with the opening stock of the way we calculate cost of sales, opening stock is given to me as 2034, and I put the 2034 there. Purchases, remember the purchases is the purchases 15190 minus the returns. Where's my returns now? The returns are 470. Okay, so that's important that we write that as the purchases. We always have the returns deducted from our purchases minus 470. Then the closing stock is 440.89. That's where I get this one from. That's my closing stock, weighted average, right? And I have 7 boxes left. 7 boxes left. So I take my weighted average that I've got here and the 7 boxes that's left. And there's my value that I've calculated according to what I've decided here. Then I have my selling price minus my cost of sales. Remember, these, all of them, will give me my cost of sales, right? So selling price minus the cost of sales gives me this 26,832 and 23 cents, which is my gross profit. Calculate the Rand value of the closing stock, but for trophies. So we're not working with this information here. We're now looking at the information with regards to the trophies. And remember, the trophies is the FIFO, and the FIFO is bottom up. The other thing I've taught you about is that if we have returns and they are given as extra information or even like this below the purchases, just go and put those returns where they belong, so that when we calculate the FIFO value, the value of the closing stock using FIFO, that we have taken the returns into account. So March, the returns in March will belong to February according to what they say. All returns relate to purchases in the previous month. All returns to purchases in the previous month. So that means that my March returns belong here. So I've got to say minus 42. My October returns belong to September. That's minus 50 there. It's so that I know what I'm going to work with when I work with my closing stock and the value of the closing stock. So now we have to find the number of units that I have left. Very first thing is the units I started with is 550. I add to that the 1420, which is my purchases. Then I deduct from that my returns and if anything was sold, and I have sold 650. So it looks like this. I have the opening stock units, the purchases units, deduct the returns, and deduct the sales. So that leaves me with 1228 units on hand. And now that 1228 I have to take from here backwards. Right. So since I've already now included the returns where they should be, I start with the last purchases. Now there's not 700 there anymore. There now is 700 minus 42. So there is left 658. So I am going to take 658 out of that month. And that 658, I'm going to times by 300. This is where this is coming from. 658 times 300 is that. But 658 is not 1228 units yet. So I'm going to go up. Oh, and in that month, I can only take 100. So I take all 100 of them at 800 Rand. There's the 100 at 800 Rand. Now, what have I taken up to now? I now have taken 758. But I should take and I must take 1228. So let's see how much is left. I've got 470 that's left. So up one more. There's enough for me to take out there. I can take 470 out there. But let's just see what's left there. If I take away the return, 620 minus 50 is 570. So yes, there's definitely enough for me to take. I need to take 470 and it is at 400 Rand. When I now calculate that, the 465,400 is the value of my closing stock when I use the FIFO method.